Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at this question called merge two sorted lists. So the question says that you have two lists and you have their heads, which is given by list one and list two. And like here I've just converted the names to H1 and H2 so that it just looks a bit short. And so see what I need to do. Let's take this example that I have two lists. One is 1 to 4, and let's say the other one is 2, 4, and 6. Okay. So see, what is going to be the sorted one? The sorted one is going to be 1, answer is 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 6, because that's my final answer, right? So like in the test case that we have been given here also, so 1 is connected to 1, then 2 will come, then 3, then 4, and then 6. Okay. So many of us would think of an iterative solution after seeing the problem, but uh, like a better solution would be a recursive solution for this problem. So uh, doesn't matter you write a iterative one or a recursive one. What's the first thing that we will think? Like while comparing these two lists, the first thing that we check is, you know, does one come first or two come first? That's the smaller part of the problem, right? That does H1 come first or H2? So in this case, H1 comes first. So and what's the condition for that? So the condition. So when does H1 come first? So when H1 uh, dot val. So when H1 of val is less than equal to H2 of val. That's the condition, right? So if this happens, then we would simply have uh, H1 first and then followed by, now we don't know it's going to be H2 or it's going to be H1 of next, right? Because see, in this case it is 2, that's fine, but let's say if this was 3, right? If this was 3, then when I've compared H1 and H2, so one is smaller, so I just put H2, so I just put H1. So but still H2 is still here because this is not moved. And if you compare 2 and 3, then again 2 is smaller, so again H1 only moves, so H2 is still not moving, right? So we don't know what exactly, but we know one thing, that if H1 of val is less than equal to H2 of val, then if I'm writing a recursive solution, I will simply return H1, right? That my H1 is going to be the head, right? So what I'm returning through this is just the head, but I don't know what is going to be H1 of next, because see, what I'm saying is, in 1 and 3, I know I have to return H1. That is my 1, right? But I don't know what to return for the rest of the list. So recursively, I should compute that, right? And then the final return should be H1, right? So H1 is for the complete list. Now, after deciding on H1, the rest of it is like 2 and 4 in the first list and 3, 4, and 6 in the second one. So for that, like what's going to be after H1 if I want to compute. So for that, I will write that H1 of next is nothing but merge two lists of, okay. So see, for H1 I moved to H1 of next, right? We are now more at H1, so it's either H1 of next or it can be H2 as well, right? Okay, and the similar thing we would just do for the else condition. So let me just write the else part, and this is my okay. So the condition is somewhat like this. So only I just need to swap H1 and H2. So this will be only H1. This will be only H1, and this will be H2 of next. Okay, so that is fine, I guess. Okay, now see, just think of one thing. Ki, while doing this comparisons, like I compare 1 and 3, I get 1, right? Then I compare 2 and 3, I get 2, right? So then I compare 4 and 3, 3 is smaller, so then I compare 4 and 4. Now they are less than equal to, so I return H1. So H1 goes to next, and now H1 is null, right? Now H1 reaches null, and I'm left with 4 and 6 here. So what will I do with 4 and 6? That means if any of H1 or H2, if any of them hits null, so I have to return the rest of the list, right? Because see, the point is both of the lists are individually sorted. So what does that mean? Ki, if this 4 is lesser than equal to 4, that means whatever is after 4 is definitely greater or equal to, right? So all of that I can just put simply, I can just print it out directly. I don't need to think about am I doing right or wrong, whatever I'm doing, right? So the base case is nothing but that, let's say if my H1 is equal to null, is equal to null PTR, or my H2 becomes null PTR. You know, in both of these conditions. So not only one thing, if my H1 is null PTR, so every time I'm just returning H2, right? So I'll just write it this way, that I'll return from this, that if my H1 is equal to null PTR, then like I'll just use the ternary operator, that if this happens, then just return H2, and if that's not the case, just return H1. So that is the code. That is the base case. This is, and these are the two conditions, the else conditions, and this should be enough to take care of my solution. Let's just compile it once and check whether it's okay. There's a small error they're saying. Okay, I put a L. It should be a semicolon. Should be a colon. This should work, I guess. Okay, there is some error. Let me just check a bit. H2 of next is equal to merge to list of h1 comma h2 of next, which is fine. Okay, I'm so sorry. I just forgot to change this to h2, right? Because everything I have to change. I just forgot to change that particular line. Let's submit this and check this is okay. This should be okay. So, yeah, this is okay. So I hope you understood, and if not, if there are any doubts or if you feel there are errors in the solution, just put it in the comments. Thank you.